Hi everyone, it is November 23rd, 2015, a little after 12 p.m. in the afternoon, and I want to show you this site here. This is Open Society Foundations. This is a George Soros site, and this site totally promotes Islamic refugees and migrants in Europe, and it's training people. It wants to make people realize that they should not have Islamophobia, and they want to protect the Islamic people, the Muslims, from any kind of racism or attacks, verbal or whatever. And so this whole site, I mean, this is really amazing, because you can't believe that it is so one-sided and so slanted. And there is no indication that the Muslims or Islamic society has any kind of problems towards Christians or the established communities in Europe. So what's going on? Of course, you know, George Soros has a ton of money, but I read this and I was like totally shocked, because it is to protect Muslims completely. Islamophobia is a term used to describe irrational hostility, fear, or hatred of Islam, Muslims, and Islamic culture, and active discrimination against these groups or individuals within them. Today, Islamophobia in Europe manifests itself through individual attitudes and behaviors and the policies and practices of organizations and institutions. Examples, which vary across countries and time, include the following: physical and verbal attacks on property, places of worship, people, especially those who display a visible manifestation of their religious identity, such as women wearing the hijab or niqab, however you say that. Verbal or online threats of violence, vilification, and abuse. But why would they get this unless something was coming from them, right? Okay, policies or legislation that indirectly target or disproportionately affect Muslims and unduly restrict their freedom of religion, such as bans on wearing visible religious and cultural symbols, laws against facial concealment, and bans on building mosques with minarets. So you know they're taking crosses down in Italian schools, right? Yes, not allowed to have crosses in many Italian schools now. So something is out of balance. Discrimination in education, employment, housing, or access to goods and services. Ethnic and religious profiling and police abuse, including some provisions of counterterrorism policing, public pronouncements by some journalists and politicians across the whole political spectrum that stigmatize Muslims as a group and disregard their positive contributions to the communities and countries in which they live. So why is George Soros doing this? The use of the term Islamophobia is relatively recent phenomenon, and despite signs that it exists, it remains contested as to what exactly defines anti-Muslim or anti-Islamic actions or behavior. Some anti-Muslim and anti-Islamic platforms and networks have sought to delegitimize the term by producing a counter-narrative against Islamophobia. Why is Islamophobia an issue in Europe now? In recent years, okay, now you got to listen to this. Islamophobia has been fueled by public anxiety over immigration and the integration of Muslim minorities into majority cultures in Europe. But they don't integrate. These tensions have been exacerbated by the aftermath of the economic crash of 2007 and the rise of populist nationalist politicians. They have also been aggravated by high-profile terrorist attacks carried out by Muslim extremists. In a climate of rapidly expanding diversity in Europe, which George Soros and Barbara Lerner Spector want, Muslim minorities have been portrayed as non-belonging and wanting to separate themselves from the rest of society. And he doesn't mention the no-go zones, you know, where they have the signs up that say you're now entering Sharia ruled area and you have to conform, and the local police in whatever city in Belgium or in England, the police won't even go in there. In Sweden, the Muslim community will block firemen from coming in to put out a fire in those areas. Government policies have failed to ensure equal rights for all, forcing significant sections of Muslim minorities to face unemployment, poverty, and limited civic and political participation, all of which aggravate discrimination. Well, that's not the case in the U.S., okay? We're being quite fair. We're letting all kinds of Muslims into the Obama administration to have free reign. All right? So Christianity is out in America. Islam is in. Europe is going through its worst economic recession since the 1930s. Minorities, okay, now get this as an excuse. Minorities often serve as scapegoats in times of economic and political crisis. Islam and the approximately 20 million Muslims who live in the European Union are depicted by some as inherent threats to the European way of life, even in countries where they have lived for generations. The myth of an ongoing European Islamization or invasion has been nurtured by xenophobic populist parties that are on the rise across Europe. In fact, Europeans overestimate the proportion of their populations that are Muslim. The 9/11 terrorist attacks drastically changed public opinion towards Muslims. Since then, terrorist acts such as the acts by violent jihadists in London, Madrid, and the murder of Dutch filmmaker Theo van Gogh, and the massacre at the Charlie Hebdo offices in Paris have increased fear and anxiety. The use of Islam by extremists to justify their terrorist acts has made many Europeans regard Islam as a threat and fear Muslims as the enemy. Since 2001, some media in Europe have succumbed to reporting based on stereotypes and use the actions of Islamists to stigmatize Muslim populations. There are concerns that stereotypes and generalizations about Muslims are informing counter-terrorism measures in Europe that restrict liberties for all and negatively impact Muslim communities. Okay, see, there is it's only in defense of the Muslims and the Islamic community, and it's a myth that there's any kind of problem, and there is no Islamization, even though they will hold marches and say Sharia will dominate the entire world. In fact, Muslims, all Muslims who practice their faith, want the entire world to be Muslim. I just watched a video with Gaddafi, and he said the same thing. America will embrace Islam without resistance. So what are the implications for Open Society? Because remember, the name of this is Open Society Foundation. So this is what they're trying to do. Okay, what are the implications for Open Society? Islamophobia is a symptom of the disintegration of human values. See, we should embrace Islam. That's what they're telling us. And if we don't, it's because our values are messed up. According to former Council of Europe Commissioner for Human Rights, Thomas Hammerberg, values such as non-discrimination, tolerance, freedom of thought, justice, solidarity, and equality. These values are supposed to be inherent to European societies. They are values upon which the European Union and the Council of Europe were built. Oh my gosh, I don't think I have to read any more, because I mean, you can go ahead and read more of this, because it's just unbelievable because of what this says. Non-discrimination. Do Muslims discriminate against Christians and non-believers? Yes, they do. Do they tolerate Christians and the way they dress, the way they, the food they eat? No, they don't. Freedom of thought. If you're a non-believer, well, in some countries, as I'll show you in a minute, like Mauritania, if you're an atheist, you can get the death penalty. And some of these hard-line Sharia law countries that really practice the classic Sharia law, you will be put to death for apostasy, atheism, men having sex with men, and all these different things. The punishment for this is death. Steal a stick of gum, lose a hand. Get flogged, get lashes for drinking alcohol. This is serious, serious business. And I'll show you, George Soros, okay, Open Society Foundations, he's Jewish, right? Why is he supporting this? And Elena Kagan, Supreme Court Justice, she supports Sharia law too. Why? She's Jewish. Why are these Jewish people supporting Sharia law? Okay, so this is what the George Soros Open Society Foundation is doing to tackle Islamophobia in Europe. This is what they're doing. They're publishing reports. They're talking about integration. They're interviewing people and their experiences. Reports that give voice to experience of Muslim women who wear the full veil. They want to have campaigns aimed at countering stereotypes, hate crime monitoring, opposition research. They want to have advocacy at local, national, and European levels. And, European Network Against Racism. Do you find this just unbelievable? That the Muslims must be accepted and the Europeans must give over their country to the Muslims and the Islamic culture and societies, that their intention is to infiltrate and create an entirely black world, hidden. Hide your face, wear black, be dark. And I want to show you this now. Here at Sharia law, Islamic Sharia law explained. Okay, so I just want to show you, I read quite a few things here and I've lost some of the pages, but everybody knows and you get the picture. It's just that it's driven home by that George Soros site. Okay, now check this out. Application of Sharia law by country. Okay, this is on Wikipedia. I don't know what else to use because it does have good resource here. And okay, this. Now, why did that go to that so fast? Okay, wait a second. This is the hardcore, this is the hard hudud, however you say it. It is the hardcore punishments, okay? Okay, the hardcore punishments like decapitation, well, it popped on there for a reason, I guess. Decapitation, amputation, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so application of Sharia law by countries. So you can, Sharia law, adultery, punished by stoning, fornication, alcohol, lashing, theft by amputation of limbs. It's just... Many predominantly Muslim countries have not adopted death penalties in their criminal justice system. Most Muslim countries do not use traditional classical Islamic punishments, but some do, and that would be Saudi Arabia, who has a key role at the UN for human rights. That is Ironic, isn't it? The use of flogging is more common compared to punishments like amputations. Can you imagine that they even consider such a thing? Okay, classic Sharia systems. All right, Saudi Arabia and Iran are examples of classical Sharia systems. Okay, so here they are. Here are the colors. These are the ones that amputate and stone, the purple ones. Then the green, they mix it, and then countries where the yellow, personal status such as marriage, divorce, inheritance, child custody, and then regional variations in application of Sharia is the orange. Okay, so if you look down here, see Mauritania, Sharia crimes such as heresy, apostasy, atheism, refusal to pray, adultery, and alcoholism. Punishments include lapidation, amputation, and flagellation. What is lapidation? I don't know. Sudan. Okay, Sudan. No wonder people don't want to be there. Okay, you get 40 lashes for drinking alcohol, amputation of the right hand or left of a certain value, stoning for adultery. So just think of all these beer companies, you know, that all this will be banned. Afghanistan, stoning to death of adulterers. Brunei. All right, including the severing of limbs by property crimes and death by stoning for adultery and homosexuality. Well, okay, so Sharia comes, if they're successful and Sharia law rules the world, that's going to set back the whole homosexual agenda. Aren't things getting confusing, like Iran, Iraq? Okay. Stoning, can you imagine? And even the Maldives. I didn't know this. And they allow for these HUDUD punishments. Pakistan, Qatar. Theft, adultery, defamation, drinking alcohol, and apostasy if either the suspect or the victim is a Muslim. But in some, a Filipino woman was sentenced to 100 lashes for adultery. 6 expatriates were sentenced to flogging for either 40 or 100 lashes. Not a very nice place, because sometimes it's up to the judge himself. Okay, let me go back now. So this is interesting there. Is Sharia taking over the world? Here we go. Check out this. There's a hotel chain, Turkish hotel chain, and in New York City, they offer birth tourism. That means they help women to come over to the U.S. and have a baby in the U.S. because their baby will be American, okay? Palestinian Arabs, new pride and unity, okay? Children are being taught to in the Middle East are trained not only in the art of war, but in the brutal specialty of Islamic jihad. The above live cover from 1970 shows Muslim children being indoctrinated with hate for the Jews. Not just hate for the Jews, but hate for the Jews. They were trained to use weapons and in the art of killing the enemy. These children today would all be in their mid to late 40s, which is precisely the age group in the Middle East inciting most of the conflicts. They in turn now train a new generation of children to first hate the Jew, then to hate the West, America. Okay, so they're trained to kill, so there's lots of stuff here, and you can read about it, and I've seen some videos, and it's true, you know, in Palestine. And, you know, the Jews hate Christians. Oh my gosh, they hate Jesus so much. So you know, this is really bad. Training children for jihad. And then down here, Gaddafi says Islam is taking over Europe. I think he made this, this speech was in 2006, and he is not really into the violent expansion of Islam, but he thinks everyone should become a Muslim. Here's the Muslim demographics, and here's what's happening in Minnesota and how the Somalians are there. So what is going on, you know? And then let me show you this investment watch. The Project Muslim Brotherhood plan to infiltrate the West. Okay? So there is a 6-phase plan to take over the U.S. So it doesn't make sense, you know? All of these, it's like a joke, you know, to say, oh, we welcome all these refugees, when the Muslim Brotherhood, who has this 6-phase plan, they're just going, wow, this is going to be so easy. We just, like, you know, walk in with everybody else and pretend like we don't know anything. And oh my gosh, what a freaking joke, right? Okay, so 0 comments on that, but now let me show you this before this gets too long. Oh yeah, Cruz, it's because Obama and Clinton that Islamists are winning. Okay, are they winning? And this is about Kagan promoted Sharia. This is back in 2010. She proceeded to forge the law school's Islamic finance project. She's pro-Sharia. How can this be in the U.S.? What is totally going on? I just don't get it. Okay, so, all right, George Soros, Open Society Foundation, and look, history shows that Europe can handle a refugee influx, and that it's a myth that there's any problem. Do you believe it? It's a myth that there's any problem. This is all happy-go-lucky things that are happening in Europe, and Europe can handle a refugee influx. However, let me find that page a minute. Oh yeah, right here. We go back here, and just look at some pictures. So, obviously, George Soros, Obama, Elena Kagan, Hillary, so many people, they want this to happen for whatever reason. So maybe they did create it, and because they are facilitating Sharia for Britain, Sharia dominating the world, beheading those who insult Islam. I mean, you know, maybe if you eat bacon in front of some of these serious Islamists, that can insult Islam and you deserve to be beheaded. But I did just read some verses, and just for being non-Muslim, a non-believer, is enough to deserve beheading. And they behead their own. The extremists behead their own. So they want the whole world to be Muslim and subject to Sharia. So here, this is perfect. East, west. But they're promoting George Soros, and I forgot right now who else I was going to say. They are promoting this fake integration. All right, do you get it? They're promoting the fake integration. Why? History shows that Europe can handle a refugee influx. For a long time, I don't think of my family as refugees, even though I knew we'd fled conflict in our native country when I was a child. Okay, this goes on, and there is a video here that you can watch that understanding migration and asylum in Europe. History shows, okay. Burma's voters see a bright future for the country. History shows that Europe can handle refugees influx. So I know they have videos here somewhere. You have to find it and look it up, because it's very, very positive towards supporting refugees coming in. Look, November 19th, 2015. But they don't show all those videos about how they hate the food, they want apartments, they want, and the situation in Sweden, which is so horrible towards women. Oh, and also in Sharia law, it takes 2 women to equal the testimony of 1 man. So 1 woman is only worth half a man in a court of law in Sharia. Okay, you need 2 women, and all of this is unequal. Why is freaking George Soros doing this? Why is he promoting this? And Barbara Lerner Specter, why? Oh well, thanks for watching and listening, and we're all in this together. And we're warned, and we know the beast system is coming, because not just because it says so in the book of Revelation, and Jesus warned us about all these end time situations, but open your eyes. There's deception. The cashless society is coming. The Wall Street Journal, or was it the Financial Times, they want the cashless society to come, and this is all being put into place. And you know, these guys are, they want the world, the entire world, to be under submission to Sharia law. This is what they want. They teach it in their mosques, and Christians have abandoned Christianity and God, love for God and strength in that area, and they, you know, Christians are just mocked for their faith. Satanism is the cool thing, right? Flash the devil horns, you know, wear the skulls, do all that. And so, how are you going to fight this off? They're praying like 5 times a day. They got a plan, and they're all in on it together. And true Christians would love for everybody to get saved. You know, the whole world. Preach the gospel to every creature in the whole world. So, you know, if Christians, believing Christians, would like that for everyone to get saved, then Muslims in their faith want the same for the whole world to be Muslim. But they are making concerted effort to achieve what they want to achieve. And most Westerners are messed up, you know. They're undisciplined, they're weak, they eat bad food, watch TV too much, party, take drugs, lost, don't know how to control their own minds, unfocused, on psychotropic drugs because they think there's something wrong with them, and they idealize the images in fashion magazines and movies. So they're just a mess. That's why this is dangerous, and they're already here, and they're coming hard and fast. There's an onslaught. So thanks for watching. Bye for now, everyone. Many blessings, and the Holy Spirit visit you today.